Hello, my name is Francisco Javier Palacios Hidalgo and I belong to the University of Córdoba in Spain. The title of this presentation is Language Learning and Technology Integration, Exploring the Potential of Socially and Culturally Responsive Language Teaching. With it, I will present the concept of socially and culturally responsive language teaching, which is basically a new approach to language learning. I will not only explore the concepts and fundamentals, but also the importance of technology in this approach. I would like to begin by making reference to the current situation regarding language learning and teaching. In this sense, there is no doubt that language teaching and learning has become a key objective in international education systems as a result of the growing importance of communicative competence in virtually all areas of human life. So being able to communicate in a language which is other than one's mother tongue has become nowadays a demand for people to be able to function effectively in their professional, educational, social or cultural contexts. Together with this situation, an increasing number and variety of proposals, methodologies and approaches are being implemented in language classrooms in an attempt to achieve an optimal, meaningful and quality learning process. Some of these initiatives, such as content and language integrated learning or language immersion programs, are bilingual education models that seek to promote plurilingualism and basically help students acquire a different language. Other approaches, such as English for specific purposes, tend to offer foreign language teaching, focus on a specific professional task, like, for example, scientific English or English for tourism. However, despite the social, cultural, and linguistic diversity that characterizes today's societies and schools, research indicates that language teaching, at least in the European context, has traditionally failed to provide a socially and culturally responsive context, connecting with learners' prior knowledge and experiences and promoting cross-cultural encounters and raising awareness of current and relevant social issues. So approaches like culturally responsive teaching, English for social and purposes and cooperation, and the universal design for learning basically pay attention to the cultural background of learners, the diversity that is present in the classrooms of today, and also the social and cultural issues of the present. However, there isn't any framework that encompasses all these aspects and basically offers a truly holistic, inclusive, and universal language learning environment. So, considering all this, the main aim of this presentation is, as I have mentioned before, to present the concept of socially and culturally responsive language teaching, which is also known as SCR. Well, SCR is an approach to language teaching that is based on the use of diverse cultural references, which are accessible to learners, but also of issues of social relevance in order to enhance the learning of the target language. So the approach advocates for the creation of educational environments in which learners are the center of the learning process by encouraging inclusion, active participation, and also valuing diversity in all its forms. Furthermore, this approach sees as a fundamental part of any teaching and learning process the need to promote respect for diversity and to address the problems of the 21st century societies, which, because of the relevance and immediacy to people's lives, can't be ignored in the classrooms. So, SCR stems from three educational approaches, which are culturally responsive teaching, English for social purposes and cooperation, and universal design for learning. So, culturally responsive teaching is basically a pedagogical approach that recognizes the importance of students' cultural references and the importance of including them in the classroom. And in contrast to traditional teaching, culturally responsive teaching seeks to give voice to silenced minorities and offers a place in the classroom to diverse cultures that are far from the hegemonic Western and white paradigm. Then the English for social purposes and cooperation approach basically promotes the learning of the English language through topics with social impact. So this approach pays special attention to social and cultural issues of great relevance, such as gender equality, animal abuse, or the reality of the LGBTIQ plus community, just to name a few. And the third basis of the SER approach is the so-called Universal Design for Learning, which provides a framework to guide educational practice towards the effective inclusion of all learners, regardless of their abilities and knowledge, and also reducing any cognitive, physical, sensory, social, or cultural barriers that may exist in the classroom. So in this sense, both Universal Design for Learning and SER seek to provide learners with multiple forms of representation, action, and engagement, basically to offer them with a learning process that respects and values the experience, culture, and identity, whatever these are. So SER is also based on these 5 pillars. So the first one is basically promoting language learning environments, which are focused on the interests, experiences, and needs of students. Then the second one is the use of diverse cultural reference, which are accessible to students to enhance language learning. The third one is the learning and awareness of current and socially relevant issues, which are seen as basis of the development of their communicative competence, but also of some soft skills, which are also relevant and necessary today. The fourth basics is valuing all kinds of diversity as an essential element for integral, inclusive, and universal learning. And finally, the last one is the promotion of students' inclusion and active participation through critical thinking and also autonomous and cooperative learning. Well, the use of technology is also central to SER because it's basically central to the 3 fundamental approaches. So in the case of culturally responsive teaching, technology can serve as a bridge between the classroom and the real-world needs of learners. So it basically allows students to discover, connect, and interact with other people who basically share their same characteristics, cultural characteristics, and also help them to learn about cultures which are different from their own. In the case of the English for Social Purposes and Cooperation approach, learning and knowledge technologies and technologies for empowerment and participation, which are basically 2 types of ICT, are central as they not only aim to promote the introduction and use of digital tools in the classroom, but also to empower learners to implement their competencies for lifelong learning in the 21st century. And finally, as for Universal Design for Learning, technology can also help this approach as it allows greater flexibility, adaptability, and also responsiveness that can make it easier for learners to participate in the educational process and basically access and understand the content, either linguistic or non-linguistic. So here are 5 key ideas that explain the importance of technology in SER. So the first one is that technology can facilitate the acquisition and development of students' key competencies, which are, as I've said before, essential for learning and lifelong learning in the 21st century. The second key idea is that digital competence and digital literacy is a fundamental element in SER because it provides students with chances to grow in cultural sensibility and also to become more aware of social relevant topics. The third idea is that technology offers students with opportunities to apply concepts and knowledge in a variety of authentic and real-life contexts. The fourth idea is that technology promotes the introduction and also the use of digital tools in the teaching and learning process and basically enable learners to practice their key skills for today's classroom. And finally, the fifth idea is that technology can also support the inclusion of learners with learning difficulties or any kind of specific characteristics by providing them with alternative digital versions of the activities which are developed in the classroom. So to conclude, here are some strategies for teachers to implement in the classroom, basically to promote SER in their teaching work. So it is necessary to activate learners' prior knowledge in order to basically help them develop acquisition and acquire and learn the different competencies which are necessary for their learning. But it's also necessary to contextualize the learning and link the teaching process to social and cultural realities of these learners. It is also necessary to promote the use of learners' social and cultural capital, drawing on this variety of experiences that students may have to promote inclusion in the classroom. It is also necessary to rethink the resources that are used in the classroom, and in this sense it's necessary to use materials that represent diversity in a positive way, including, for example, books on diverse subjects or with authors from different races or origins. It is also necessary to build positive relationships with the students to ensure that they feel respected, valued, and seen for who they are. And finally, it is necessary to create a safe environment, a supportive environment for students in which they are valued and protected.